Hi friends, my name is Becca and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, I am so glad that you stopped by. We focus on all things middle grade literature, specifically the first chapters of your favorite middle grade novels. Today I have the story, Resist. This is written by Alan Gratz, who is known to just write such phenomenal, engaging, action-packed novels. This is a story of D-Day, a world at war, a young spy, her most dangerous mission yet. Alan Gratz has also written novels like Refugee and Allies, Ground Zero, Heroes. There are so many phenomenal novels, and I'm really excited to share a little bit of this one with you. We are actually going to be reading the first 2 chapters today. The first chapter is about a page and a half, and the second chapter is about a page and a half, so I figured we needed 2 chapters to at least, kind of get an essence of this novel. I'm going to start by reading the back of the book to give us a little bit of an idea what this book is all about. From #1 New York Times best-selling author Alan Gratz comes an action-packed, original story that you won't be able to put down. Samira Zidane lives in Nazi-occupied France during World War II, and she has a secret. She and her mother are spies for the underground resistance. They crack codes and trade messages that will help sabotage the Nazis' plans. When her mother is captured by enemy soldiers, Samira must travel through the war-torn countryside on a desperate and daring rescue mission. And today just happens to be D-Day, the pivotal moment when Allied forces are landing in France. Battles rage all around her, and Samira only has a small dog named Serrano for company. Can she save her mother from the Nazis before time runs out? All right, let's go ahead. We're going to open up our book and dive right on in. The first chapter is titled Nazis in the Night, and it is dated June 6th, 1944, before dawn, near Villers-Bocage, France. The door to the tavern down the street swung open, and Samira Zidane gasped in horror. 5 Nazi officers staggered out into the lane, laughing and barking loudly at each other in German. Beside her, the little white dog that had become Samira's friend and companion in the last few hours, a scrappy terrier she'd named Serrano, growled at the soldiers. He seemed to hate Nazis even more than Samira did. The soldiers were too wrapped up in whatever they were laughing about to have spotted her yet, and Samira snatched Serrano up in her arms and looked for a place to hide. It was long after curfew, the time the Nazis set for everyone in this part of occupied France to be inside their homes. People who were caught out after hours were often shot on sight as spies. And Samira really was a spy. She had been helping her mother run messages to and from the French resistance for months, and in the past few hours, she'd actually helped the French resistance sabotage German trains. Samira's simple green dress and brown sweater might help her blend in as a villager if she was caught, but her light brown skin and black hair would definitely make her stand out. Samira was French-Algerian, and the Nazis would see she was one of the people they were considered inferior and regularly shipped off to work camps. Samira spotted a shop doorway that was set back from the street and hurried toward it, one hand around Serrano and the other clutching the bottom of the blue handkerchief she wore around her head, the one her mother had worn before the Nazis had stolen her away. Quick and quiet as a fox, Samira jumped the 2 steps up to the doorway and darted into the small sliver of shadow where the Nazis wouldn't see her, and ran right into the other person who was already hiding there. Chapter 2, Cabbage Heads. Samira tried to back away, but the person she'd run into quickly put a hand on her arm to keep her still. As her eyes adjusted to the shadows, Samira saw who shared her hiding place. He was a boy with a pale, lean, hungry face and unkempt brown hair. Samira was 12 years old, and this boy couldn't have been more than 3 or 4 years older. He wore a torn brown jacket that was a size too big for him, a dirty white shirt, and gray pants that were held around his waist with a bit of rope. The surprise of finding him here in the shadows had sent Samira's heart into her throat. But Cyrano had already decided he liked the boy and was licking his arm with enthusiasm. The boy put a finger to his lips to tell Samira to be quiet, and she nodded. Whoever he was afraid of the Nazis, as she was. And he didn't want to get caught either. The German soldiers lingered in the street, still laughing and braying at each other. They had been out enjoying themselves at the local tavern, and now it was time for them to return to their beds in whatever garrison they were stationed in. Lousy cabbage heads, the boy whispered beside her, walking around like they owned the place. It was hard to argue they didn't own the place, Samira thought. Nazi Germany had invaded France in 1940, and in no time at all they rolled into Paris, the capital, and claimed the whole country for the German Empire. The northern part of France, like here in Normandy, where Samira and her mother now lived, was under direct control of Germany, while the southern part of France was ruled by a French government that answered to the Nazis. For the last 4 years, Germany had moved soldiers and guns into barracks and fortresses all over France, solidifying their control. Now it was going to take on a full-on Allied invasion of soldiers from England and the United States to drive them out again. An invasion was supposed to happen just a few hours from now. Samira felt the boy tense beside her, and she looked back down to the street. The Nazi soldiers were on the move again, and they were headed right for where Samira and the boy were hiding. All right, I already feel the drama and suspense in this novel, and I cannot wait to read more. If you enjoyed this first chapter Friday Read Aloud, please consider liking and subscribing so you can be notified every time there is another Read Aloud available for you. Teachers, if you are reading this novel with your students, there are some great resources linked in the description. And until next time, friends, happy reading!